Hi again. This is going to be another follow-up video on the subject of CSS variables. I'm just going to do an example here that I'll shamelessly admit that I cribbed from Leah Verou's more extensive video on the subject, and you should watch it. It's got a lot of great information in it. But this will just be a short video on using CSS variables in a practical way to just make your life a lot easier, right? I'm going to pull up brackets here and pull up Chrome, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a div that will act as a button. So I'll give it a class here and we can call it button, and maybe I'll give the button a label too. I'll say okay, it'll be an OK button, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a style sheet here, and I'll just put my code in this inline style, or style tag right here, and what we'll do is we'll give the button some styles, right? So I'll say button, you're going to display as inline block, and maybe before we do anything else, maybe I'll also add font family Helvetica to the bottom of our style sheet there. Just ignore that, right? But anyway, so we've got display inline block. Maybe we'll give it some padding of 1em, and then our button will have a border. So let's give it a border of solid 3 pixels. Let me refresh this here. Oh, there's my button there. And then maybe we'll give it a border radius of 10 pixels, just something simple. So there's our button, right? And maybe our button will also need a hover. So I'll give it a hover style, and the hover style maybe will be, it'll be black, the border color on the inside as the background, and the text will be white. Okay, so we'll say, color of white, and background color of black, right? And then we should just probably state the background color here on the border also. So anyway, so this is fairly pedestrian CSS right there, right? And what I'd like to do now is apply a CSS variable to just make this a lot easier for us, right? Because we're going to need to change the color here and here and here when we if we want to make different colored buttons, so like if we have a black button, but then we want to have a blue one or a red one, for different places in our interface, right? So what we'll do is we'll use a CSS variable, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a variable here inside the class button, and that means that anything that is class button will have this variable in its scope. So let's call this button color, and we'll color it black, right? And then we can use this button color wherever we had the color before. So instead of having the color hard-coded here, we can say button color, right? And then down here, when we set the background color, we can do the same thing, right? And so this is really nice for us. So the hover there works the same as it did before, but now, if we want to change the color, we can do it in one location. So if I wanted to make the button, kind of a red, then, well, actually, you know what? I should put the color here too, right? Actually, this will make it even easier, right? I got to get the color on the text there to be to match, right? So we'll say var button color. It'll be nice one day when editors start to pick up on the variable names. Right now I notice bracket doesn't do that, right? But anyway, so there we've got our button, and now when I hover it, it changes, and if I want to change the color, I can just do it all in one place. I don't have to change the color in 3 places, right? And so that's really nice, right? If I want to do green button, maybe I could do a green there, right? That's kind of nice, right? But this gets even better, right? So this is pretty good, but what if we had a second button, and we wanted the second button to be like a cancel button, right? And I don't want that one to be green. I want the OK button to be green, but I want cancel to be blue or something, right? So what I can do is assign the cancel button another class. So maybe we'll give it the blue class. And then down here we'll say, button.blue, and then we'll change the value for the button color variable. Right now, since this is more specific than the style up here, this value for button color will override the button color that appears in other places underneath button, right? So let's give this sort of a blue color and see what it looks like. Oh, that's a very ugly blue. Let's get a better blue. How about that? That's kind of still not very good. But anyway, we'll stick with that, right? No, let's change it. Yeah, that's kind of getting, that's even worse. But never mind. So anyway, so we got the blue button, right? So that's pretty good, right? Essentially, it's sort of a scope system for the variable, right? When we assign the variable to button, everything that's the button class is going to get this value, right? This custom property. But when the value for a selector is more specific, it's going to override that property. So in the case of this button, the color here is overridden by the rule down here, right? And then it still propagates through all of the other styles that use it, or all the other selectors or style rules, right? So this is also even more interesting because we can apply values to our custom property button color through inline styles. And this is really great because you can also set it through JavaScript too, but it also makes it so that we can assign a color directly to the element, sort of in a very descriptive, and very, deliberate way, without having to dig through a bunch of code and then kind of align this class name with an element somewhere else in our code base, right? Let's give that a try. So I got a cancel button. Maybe we need a delete button, right? And the delete button needs to be red. I'm going to get rid of the blue here, right? So now it's green, but that wouldn't be a good delete button. So what we want to do is we want to give it a style, and I'm going to set the style or the value for button color here to a red color. Let's give it, how about that? Wait, I got to put the hash mark there, right? Let me actually move this to another line. So anyway, there we go, right? So here I've got an inline style on the delete button. And when I refresh here, this one's going to be red, that's blue. And we could do this for all of these here. In a way, it's, the class name is good, but here I can specify one value and all of this can be hidden, and nobody really needs to touch the styles down here. So anyway, so that's a great way to use CSS variables to save you work and make your code a little more flexible and easier to edit. So thanks for watching.